Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. It is that time once again where we have our fragment event calendar here, and I'm going to go through and show you how to do it. A couple of things to watch out for. There are a couple of pretty interesting things actually. And yeah, for Jetni the Giant. And then after we see how difficult or easy it's going to be, I'll give you my thoughts as well on whether or not this is worth it too. Should you actually go for this? To answer that question fully, again, this is sort of was my thoughts after my playtest. You can see the full playtest video. You need to know how difficult these events are going to be. So yeah, we'll do that. Also, quick update on my puppy. She was in the veterinary hospital for some surgery to try fix. Basically, she has incontinence, right? But yeah, surgery went well. We're going to be going and picking her up. I'm going to be leaving in about half an hour as of right now, so I'm under some time pressure here to get this done. But yeah, I'm going to be leaving to go and collect her and bring her back. And yeah, maybe she'll come and say hello in one of the videos soon if she's feeling up to it. Or maybe I'll just record her like downstairs or something. We'll see. We'll see. Not exactly sure what to expect. So we'll see. Anyway, let's take a look at this. The Jetni event. So first of all, I am slightly in the way. Let me move over. We're back up to 115 fragments, which is good. Of course, expecting winning a tournament for most of you, it's never going to happen, right? Unless you're a big spender, which means that you actually have 115. There's 115 fragments up to grab. You need 100, so you can skip 15. Immediately, what that points me to, like Summon Rush and Champion Chase. So this is definitely one interesting thing here. You can skip all of Champion Chase, do everything else, and you will get Jetni. By doing all of Summon Rush. You cannot skip all of Summon Rush unless you win a tournament, right? You could look to win maybe Ice Golem. That's one that you can potentially win. The other tournaments are pretty tough to win, I'll be honest. But like if you are a tournament winner type person, that's something you could look to do. Skip Summon Rush, win a tournament, and do Champion Chase. And yeah, you could basically get an extra 5 fragments and so on. But for most of you, not super viable. One interesting thing as well, let me point this out right now. We've just finished CVC. In fact, our clan came first in the world, which is ridiculous. But the next CVC should be over here. Tuesday, Wednesday. This should be CVC. And there's a good chance that it is personal rewards. So when we're coming in here and we're looking at Summon Rush and we're looking at Champion Chase, here's the thing, right? Normally we strategize out how to do these by minimizing one of these points. Now, if you super duper care about CVC points, there's like 10 points over here that you're not going to be able to access before CVC. CVC will end before this. So if it is personal rewards, if you're looking to fuse your Jetni from your fragments during this CVC, you'll basically need to get most of both of these effectively is how it works. So look, again, that is something for you to look out for and to know that are going to be 10 fragments after CVC. So if you want to pull her here, then you can't. Back to this. How many points do you need? Fairly straightforward, really. I would say, let me actually type this in so it's easier to see. 2150 and 5000. This is usually how Summon Rush has been breaking down recently. So to get, it's probably going to be split 5 and 15 is how they most usually do it. For 5, and then for a further 15. Let's put it so it's as clear as possible. So it's usually 5 fragments at the 2150 point, and then there might be 15 more at the 5000 point. They could do it different ways. We won't know for sure. We'll see for sure tomorrow. And that's actually, a good thing, really. Summon Rush is the one that's the bigger question mark. That's harder to do than Champion Chase. It's good that it is the first event. I've got comments before, people saying they don't like it. I personally think it's great because you can tell literally day 2 of the fusion whether you're going to be able to do it or not, because the rest of the stuff is much more straightforward. But I would expect this. And like I said, I think it is worth considering maxing out Summon Rush for the full 20 fragments if you have enough shards to do so. It could be a lot of shards. This could be cheaper. It could be 4,000. If it is like 4,000 points for it, if it's a cheaper one, then we'll feel good. But it's Plarium, so I never expect it to be cheaper. It is worth considering maxing this out. One thing to note, though, this Champion Chase tournament is 2x Ancients, which means it's a pretty easy one to do. What am I likely to do? I'm not sure. I'm actually, for me, leaning more towards maxing out Champ Chase and grabbing just the 5 points from Summon Rush and trying to preserve Sacred Shards and Void Shards for bigger, better events. The Ancient Shards haven't really been good in any particular events. For Champion Chase, I think it's usually, isn't it, 2,500 points for 5, and then it might be, it might be lower than that. Oh, off the top of my head, I actually don't know off the top of my head. My goodness, I need to go and double check. You know how we can double check? I did a whole video. I'm going to reference my own video. This is next level. Again, this is a time pressure thing. Normally, I would pause and edit the video, and I would have had this stuff ready to go early, but I didn't quite. Let me see here. So I had a fusion prep video where I actually did break this down. Can I actually find it, or am I blind? I might be blind. But look, Champion Chase, it's going to be split probably 5 and 10 is the most common way that they do it. So that's what we're going to be looking for. Right, I'll only waste like 1 more minute of your time. I found the video. We're good. And yeah, I did a whole like prepare video right here. We'll come on through. I think I did note this at some point. So for Summon Rush, again, you can see the breakdown. And the breakdown Champion Chase as well. Surely we did. Champion Chase. Yeah, so 2,500 points for the max. I think it's usually something like, it might be 5 for 1,250 or something, and then it should be yeah, it should be 1,250 for 5, and then probably 2,500 or 3,000 for further 10, right? And again, in terms of ancient shards, I'd be saying roughly 50 to 60 ancient shards, and you should be able to do it even without any stuff saved up. So that's basically how it goes. Not too shabby, not too bad. Could be better, could be worse. Let's look at some of these other events. Let's get through this a little bit quickly. So first of all, we've Artifact Enhancement. Let's look at those. We actually have 3. They've loved to do this during the fusions. I think this is fairly straightforward. Save all of your silver for these Artifact Enhancements if possible. 3 of them is quite a lot. You're going to need to bank up your silver. You can leave gear at like level 15 or whatever, and then just knock it up to level 16. Yeah, broadly speaking, Artifact Enhancement, straightforward. You just have to save silver. Let's look at another straightforward thing, which is Classic Arena. We've got one right here. We've got another one right here. This is very simple. You just go and you do your Classic Arena fights every single day. Make sure you do all of them. Just check, have I got 1/3 of the points I need? And one of the 3 days. If yes, I'm good. If no, I might need to buy a refill or 2. But Classic Arena is really kind of points for free, honestly. Then we come to the more difficult stuff. So we've got Champion Training, and we have the Dungeons. So let's look at these. First of all, we've got Dragon. So Dragon starts tomorrow. Then there's going to be Ice Golem. And this stuff is going to be coinciding with Dungeon Divers number 1. So right here, we've got Dragon is going to tick over at Dungeon Divers number 1, and it's going to end right here. So on Tuesday, and then Dragon starts right here and starts right here, and Dragon actually ends, and Dragon actually ends. So what I'd be looking to do, basically, you can kind of chill. Like, this is not very important right here. The first day of Dragon, get a few points, but really Dragon is all about going hard right here to sync it up with Dungeon Divers 1. Then you got a little bit of break in Dungeon Divers 1. You can get a few extra points. Actually, really, you're going to be focusing on Champ Training. And then again, you're going to go hard on Ice Golem at the start and sync that up with Dungeon Divers. And that should really get you sort of the best bang for your buck, essentially, right? Is you've got 1 day gap in the middle. But Dragon Tournament, take it chill today. Get a few points. You don't need to worry too much. Do a big chunk then of Dragon with Dungeon Divers. And then you will be able to finish Dungeon Divers off with Ice Golem. Going pretty hard. You're going to have like a 1 day period to do that. Effectively, it's Monday, because this could end, like, likely for me, Dungeon Divers is probably going to end probably like 9 a.m. on Tuesday or something, right? So be careful about the times, but you're going to have like a 1 day window to grind all of Ice Golem, which is intensive in terms of time. So I'd be prepared for that, to do your Ice Golem hopefully pretty quickly, at least enough to finish the fragments for Dungeon Divers. Then you can take it a bit chill for the rest. And the other part that we have going on here is Champion Training. Now, Champion Training, I would be doing a little bit. Let's say once you finish Dragon, I think you can squeeze a bit in there. And then you're going to have Ice Golem, and then you're good to go. So I would say do not do it during Ice Golem. Focus on Ice Golem. You can do it here. Again, I'd be, you might actually be able to do this. You might finish Dragon and just be able to do Champion Training as soon as it goes live. Get Champion Training done. Swap over to Ice Golem, and then come back and sort of chill finish off champion training. And that should be fairly straightforward. It's a nice long event. Just be working on it when you're not focused on pretty much Ice Golem is the thing to watch out for. Over on the other side of the board, let's switch colors here. We're going to have Fire Knight and another Dungeon Divers, and then Spider and a third Dungeon Divers. A lot of Dungeon Divers, and this one is a bit more straightforward. So look, Fire Knight and Dungeon Divers starts right here, and then right here. So really, you don't need to worry about this too much, but you kind of might as well, but not very important. This is really Dungeon Divers and Fire Knight syncing up together. Spider, again, this actually does sync up with CVC, so that's something to watch out for. Spider and CVC are quite likely to sync up. So you might be doing Spider for CVC, but you're definitely going to be grinding Spider pretty hard for this Dungeon Divers, I would say. Look, it's not too big of a deal. You might finish Spider during CVC and be pretty chill at that point, and you could just do this Dungeon Divers however you want. But this Dungeon Divers is a little bit awkward, so watch out for that after CVC. Good chance it's personal rewards. You might have the personal reward energy to help you go through if you win, but be careful. If you lose the personal rewards and you burned all your resources, you will still need some to finish this off at the end. Does mean, by the way, with Spider coming first, Artifact Enhancement 3 should be the easiest Artifact Enhancement event, because you should have a good chunk of silver stockpiled from Spider, unless, again, you've spent it during CVC, so watch out for that. Now, we do have a Champion Training Tournament at the same time. This one is a little bit trickier, so I would say Champion Training, pretty much start it as soon as it starts, and then it's sort of up to you. It's going to depend on your CVC strategy, right? You might do some Champion Training here on Monday, then mostly stop or do a bit for CVC, rank them up during CVC, and then maybe come back to it after CVC, and then do Spider or something like that in this final few days just to finish Dungeon Divers. It's sort of up to you. But I would be saying I'd definitely be focusing on Champion Training pretty much as soon as it goes live, and then pause it like for Spider, perhaps, or something like that. It's going to depend on your strategy, but just be aware that this stuff is overlapping with that CVC. But look, that's basically it. That is everything in terms of doing this. How does this look? Let me actually write in this, so make this more clear. 2x Ancients, just to make that more clear. How difficult does this fragment event look? Honestly, this looks to be pretty easy. This is quite an easy looking one. It will depend, of course, on the costs that are in there for the Summon Rush and the Champion Chase. Is it going to be 5,000 points? It might be less. Is it going to be 3,000 points? Is it going to be less? It's going to depend on that sort of stuff. But the fact that we have a Summon Rush and 2x Ancient Shards for Champion Chase is the easiest way for this to be laid out. It is by far the easiest. What would I do? For me, I'm strongly considering just grabbing the 5. Let me actually write this as a separate thing. Let's make it purple. For me, I think I'll go for 5 over here. And yeah, I think I'll go for 5. And then I think I will go for the 15 over here and just max it out that way. I think that's pretty good. Obviously, the one thing that means is I won't be able to summon Jetni during this CVC, right? I simply won't have enough fragments. We'll see what the Summon Rush ends up being, but likely that's what I'm going to do, unless it's quite a discounted price. In which case, again, for me, I'm almost definitely going to max out this Champion Chase, honestly, because it's 2x Ancients. I think it should be pretty easy. And you can use fragments, fusions before. You can, fuse up whatever Broadmaws and stuff like that. You can do that sort of thing. So Champion Chase should be fairly straightforward with Ancients. So yeah, I think that's likely what I'm gonna do. Max this one out. Definitely might max out Summon Rush just to fuse for CVC. That's for me probably the only point of maxing out Summon Rush is if you're intending to fuse during CVC. The other question, of course, that people are asking is this is the test server, by the way. Alsgore, which is why I have Alsgore. There is, of course, a possibility that they might do some sort of Alsgore guaranteed event. I think that's not super likely right now. I think it's more likely they do 10x events for Alsgore, or they would do a champion training tournament. Like, Alsgore is pretty good. I think people are going to want Alsgore to go at Jetni. So, I mean, they might do a guaranteed event for him, but that seems like too much of a freebie when they could do a guaranteed event somewhere later down the line, and they could just, kind of squeeze people for champion training tournaments and stuff right now is sort of my theory on that. But we will see. But yeah, honestly, I think that this fusion, Jetni, She doesn't look amazing. She's a decent nuker, but there are plenty of decent nukers out there. And we are going to be getting, it looks like, a free legendary dwarf, possibly starting next week with the Call of the Arbiter, another login legendary champion coming as part of that promotion. You're going to have quite a few legendaries coming down the lines for you guys, right? Do you need Jetni? Like, she's a decent damage dealer, but she's not crazy better than Yannicka without Alsgor. Yeah, she's just not crazy good. I don't think she's really noticeably better than either Supreme Elhain, who we just had a fusion for, or Yannicka, who's a clan shop champion, or Yakarl, or Rhonda. I don't think she's noticeably better than any of them without Alsgor. When you do have Alsgor in, she becomes an interesting option, probably more so for Live Arena, more so if they ever do limited series in Live Arena, stuff like that, like, oh, you can only use Tolarian champions in Live Arena, then, you know, the two of them together could become quite a powerhouse. So if you're an endgame player, I think if this fragment thing is going to be pretty easy for you to do, like for me, it's going to be pretty easy. I think it's definitely worth grabbing her just to have, and especially if you haven't finished your faction guardians, you might as well, right? And she's a damage dealer, could be worth empowering at some point. And there's really a big question mark of could they do some sort of event for Alsgor, and they could be a powerful combo in some niche live arena stuff. If you are someone who's earlier game, and this is actually going to be very difficult for you to do, and finding the shards is going to be hard, this is one I think you definitely could consider skipping. It could be difficult to impossible for you to get Alsgor if they do an event for him in the near future, and the likelihood of you pulling him is reasonably low, really, quite low, very low moving forward. So it could take you a really long time to get him. So you're not going to get the full potential of Jetni potentially for a long time. I think in that circumstance, you could definitely strongly consider simply skipping this fragment event if it is going to be, it's an easy one, but if you're going to find it hard to find the time or to find the shards to do this sort of thing, you could then potentially skip this one and save those limited resources for the next fusion in case that fusion is going to be better. But you can see my showcase of her. She is a damage dealer, got 2 AoEs, she hits pretty hard, Spirit Affinity. She's, you know, good against shields, basically. She's got a decent bonus against shields, but it only is really good if Alsgor is there. That's effectively how it goes. That's Jetni. I would rank her about a B tier champion. So some niche uses, but not crazy. For me, I'll definitely get her because it's easy, but you might skip. Thank you for watching. I hope that you found it helpful. If I didn't make it clear, I'm looking at probably about 4 sacreds for the summon rush is what I'm going to do. Probably 4 sacreds for this, and then probably about 60 ancient shards for champion chase. As rough numbers for shards. That should leave you in a good enough spot. Having more than that just for safety is always a good idea, though. But yeah, I'll see you next time. I gotta get my puppy. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.